Relocation is a personal thing, and if you ask 10 people why they relocated to Canada or any other country, they would definitely have different answers, ranging from better quality of life for myself, career advancements. I just want my kids to have more opportunities, for financial reasons, political stability, security, to mention but a few. However, you all would agree with me that finances is also like a major reason why some people decided to relocate. People are just in search of greener pastures, basically. Hi guys, welcome to Layo's tribe, and in today's video I'll just be talking about tips to actually get ahead financially. As a new immigrant in Canada or as an international student, if one of the reasons or your core reason for immigration for you is to actually save or make more money, then you really need to listen to these tips. Don't forget that all of these tips are just based on my personal experience. I am not an expert. So thank you. We just get right to it, and I'll talk about some of these major tips and major expenses that take chunk of our income and how we can actually save money on those. Thank you. So the very first one I'm talking about is housing. We all know that housing is not cheap, especially in Canada. To get like a comfortable place for yourself and your family, it is not cheap. Also, a lot of people here in Canada even spend up to 50% of their income on rent or on mortgages. So as an immigrant, how do you save on housing? Well, this actually depends solely on your situation and also your financial strength. If you're really trying not to overstretch your budget as a new immigrant, maybe you don't necessarily need to stay in the city. Also, don't forget that I said it depends on your situation. For people that are able to get remote jobs, for example, I go to work twice a month at most. So for someone like that, I don't necessarily need to rent a place in the city because I can commute from wherever place I am. Also, because I'm in Nova Scotia, commuting to any part of Halifax wouldn't really take much of my time because of the traffic and the way it works here. So yes, as a new immigrant, if you are able to if your focus is to kind of land like a remote job based on the skill set that you have, or you feel you are still single and you are not looking for good daycare, schools and all those other things for your children, basically if it's just you, maybe you don't really need to stay in the city. That way you are able to save a chunk of your income on rent, because rent could be really expensive in the city. Another way you are able to save on rent is, like I said earlier, depending on your situation. Are you a student? If you are a student, maybe you need to have a roommate rather. That way you can both like bear the cost of the rent and other bills, and you won't be overwhelmed. So yes, housing takes the chunk of the money for majority of people, but just think of your situation as an immigrant. Are you coming alone? Are you coming with kids? Are you coming with just your partner? What are the kind of job you're looking for? I agree that the cities definitely have some of these opportunities, but in some provinces like Nova Scotia here, the ride to the city is not far. It's people are able to commute to different parts of Halifax within a very short period of time daily, so you don't necessarily need to stay downtown if you need to save cost, right? So yes, once you are able to save on rent, you'd be surprised that you would have more money to save. After saving on rent, that takes me to the next one, which is the utility. For bills like internet, immigrant, you need to look out for bundle deals. What do I mean by bundle deals? If you need internet on your phone and in your house, for example, you would don't just go with the first service provider that you'd see. I'll give you an example. If you are using service provider A and you've gotten a quote from them, you would surf different ones and then you compare the prices. based on the quality they are giving you, the value you're getting from them, and the prices of each one of them. Then you now decide you want to go with. You'd be surprised that some are really cheap compared to some others. So yes, don't go with just the first one. Make sure you get the best deals, and when you bundle these things up, you get more discounts. You get. The next one for me, still talking about utility, is electricity and heat. I understand that the heating system and electricity is a bit out of our control in terms of what we get charged. However, we are able to control our usage. Let's talk about power, for example. Things like your dishwasher and your washer, they really consume a lot of power, and they can make your bills a bit higher. As new immigrants, while trying to save more money, maybe you don't really need to make use of your dishwasher if it is something you can do on your own at your own time. However, if it's for a large family and you absolutely need to use your dishwasher, then you can just compile everything up, and what some people do is they clean up the dishes and just leave it in the dishwasher. So when it is very late at night, they just wash everything at once. Also, don't forget that when you do these things at night or on weekend, the bills are lower. For your laundry too, you don't need to wash every week. We can always wash bi-weekly. Also, it depends on your family size, whatever really works for you. So just make sure that you plan when you do most of these things to be able to save costs. As a new immigrant, you probably don't need to be filling your bathtub every day or every weekend for your kids, because your water bills would really go up, and yeah, you're trying to get ahead financially. So you can just plan all these things out. If they need to use the bathtub, you can make sure that it is planned and not a daily thing, just so you are able to save some money. And that brings me to the next one. Car. Getting a car or being mobile. As a new immigrant, do you really need to get a car immediately? Also, this depends on your situation. You might want to get a car if your job is a bit far from where you live and it will make commuting easier. You might also want to get a car because of the weather or because of your family. However, if a car stretches your budget too much, maybe you shouldn't get one yet. And if you absolutely need to get a car, maybe now is not the time to get a brand new car. Well, I know some new immigrants that once they land Canada as permanent residents, they are able to get brand new cars immediately, and they finance it for like years. And in their own defense, they say that because it's brand new, the cost of running it is lower, it won't break down on them, and they would use it for a very long time. Personally, I don't agree to that. I would say that if it stretches your budget and you absolutely need to get a car because of your situation, maybe you should get a car that is not brand new but is in good condition and won't stress you and would move you from point A to B. Don't forget that when you get a car, a brand new car for example, aside the cost of financing it, insurance is not cheap. Insurance could take like a lot of money. So by the time you are financing a car and also paying for insurance and also putting gas on the car, if you total all of this up at the end of the month, it is a lot of money. So for new immigrants trying to save money, trying to get ahead financially, think about it before actually investing in a car. In addition, if you get a brand new car, the moment you drive it out and you start using it, it starts to lose value. So I really don't think that is the kind of debt you want to start acquiring immediately. For some other people too, they argue that a car is really necessary because they are able to do Uber, DoorDash, and other delivery services with it, which it makes a lot of sense. The car is also making you money, so you need it. So deciding as a new immigrant if you're getting a car immediately, the kind of car you're getting should also just depend on your situation. If you are single, you're able to commute to work easily because of the good bus system in whatever place you're living. Maybe you want to save for a little while before deciding to get a car. All right. Don't forget, like I said earlier, these are just based on my personal opinion. I'm not an expert, so whatever really rocks your boat is fine. And that takes me to the next point. Another very important thing that takes like a chunk of income for new immigrants is food, especially my African brothers and sisters that are very keen on having their African groceries that we are really used to. Going to like African store to get all of these things could be really expensive. So as a new immigrant, how do you save on food? If you are really particular about all of these groceries from your own country, the ones that are dry and can last for a long period of time, maybe now is the time to do sea cargo. Sea cargo could take up to 2 or 3 months, but they are really cheap and you'd eventually get all of these things. So for those items that have like a long shelf life, they can dry items basically that can really last long, you can use the sea cargo to bring them over. Also, if you are able to get substitutes for some of these things in the local stores here in Canada, you can just try to substitute them and start getting the alternatives that are really cheaper as against bringing those things in. Also, still on saving on food, maybe you don't want to eat out every day or all the time. I understand that you need to take care of yourself, enjoy, spoil yourself once in a while, especially when you work so hard, right? But I would say that to manage these things better, you might need to come up with a budget, and if on your budget you've assigned like $100 or $150 monthly just to take care of yourself or to eat out, then ensure that you don't go beyond the amount you've assigned for these things, just so you are able to keep everything in check. Another way to save on food for new immigrants is in your community. For example, the Nigerian community here, they are able to get like bundle deals on some things like yam, peppers, just things that they are able to just come together and buy in bulk. That way you are not breaking the bank to get those things, and you'd be surprised that when you get these deals with them, even cow, they kill cow and then they just share into based on the number of people that are interested. So when you join them to get some of these deals, they are really, really cheap. You'd be surprised that the cost would really be low. So saving on food, there are different angles to it. There are different ways you can save on food. As a new immigrant also, during summer, you'd realize that tomatoes, bell peppers are really, really affordable. They are super affordable. A box can go as low as $7, $8, $9 during summer, and that same box during winter goes up to over $50. So if you are able to store it, maybe now is the time to get all those your peppers. You can blend them and put them in Ziploc and just refrigerate for as long as you want to. So people are able to get all of these different acts to actually save money on food. Still on saving on food, even for the local grocery stores here in Canada, you'd realize that some are cheaper than the others. If you need to get your supplies, maybe you should check Walmart before some other stores, because, or if you want to buy in bulk, you can use Costco. Just check for where you can get all of these things cheaper, basically. You also want to be on the lookout for rollbacks or things that are discounted or sales. Be surprised that some of the things you really need or you make use of in your household are often on sales, but you need to look out for them to know that they are on sales. So just take advantage of anything that is discounted that you would need and stock up on those. In addition, there are some stores that on certain days of the week, they give discounts to students. If you are a student, make sure you are taking advantage of it. Not even just about food, for anything you are trying to get or anything you're getting, try to ask questions. Do you have any deals for students? And ensure that you are taking advantage. And by so doing, you do to save a lot on feeding or food generally. Another way you can get ahead financially or save money as a new immigrant is to look out for those subscriptions that you are not using. Your Amazon subscription, for example, Netflix, whatever subscription you feel you are not using and you're just paying for, maybe now is the time to cancel. I recently got charged about 30 CAD for a subscription I used one time and didn't remember to cancel it. So let's just try to avoid making this kind of mistakes. Once you realize that, oh, this is a one-time thing and I won't be making use of this thing again, let's remember to take out our cards or cancel the subscription so we won't be charged for what we are not using. So only pay for what you know that you are using and you are getting value for. Okay, so in a nutshell, what am I saying? As a new immigrant or as a student, you are able to save money on your housing, on your cost of feeding or your food. You're able to save money on utilities like electricity and power. You're also able to save on your car if you have one, and on any subscription you are not using, try as much as possible to cancel that out. So having been able to now reduce the cost of all of these things, what do you now do with whatever you have left? Like I said earlier, it's always good to have like a budget where you are able to track your spendings. That way you would know if it's something irrelevant that is taking a chunk of your income every month, and whatever amount you now have left, just to research on different ways to actually save money. For your emergency fund, you can put that in something like, some banks have like high interest savings account, I beg your pardon. So you can put your emergency fund there. And what do I mean by emergency fund? Just money that you need in case something comes up unplanned and you really need money. Not having an emergency fund would mean that if something comes up, you'd be forced to probably borrow or use a credit card, and the implication of that is that the interest rate might be a bit high. So for someone that is trying to save money or get ahead financially, you really don't want those loans that have really high interest rates. So yes, also getting ahead financially, you need to set something aside for your emergency fund. What happens if your car breaks down suddenly unplanned and you really need to fix it and pay for some other things? So just set something aside. Aside the high interest savings account, you might also want to read up on some of these accounts that the government has sort of designed to make life easier for not just even immigrants, for citizens, for students, or whatever. So there are some of these accounts, like the first home savings account. If you intend to buy a home at any point here in Canada, maybe once you are settled and you have something you can put aside monthly, you want to start looking at the FHSA. There's also the tax-free savings accounts. That is anything you put in your TFSA monthly, even if it appreciates, you are not paying tax on it, and that's why it's the tax-free savings account. Basically, there are some accounts like that you are able to actually take advantage of. So just research on what works for you based on your particular situation or your family situation and also your financial strength, and take advantage of some of these accounts by investing in them. You don't necessarily need to wait until you have a lot of money to start investing. Something as little as 100 CAD every month, after all your expenses, you can just put it aside and invest and let it keep compounding until you're able to increase it and put in more money. You get? So yes, the initial tips I gave would help reduce our expenses, and also these ones will now help put something aside that would eventually compound in the future. Thank you for sticking around to Layo's tribe, and yeah, just make use of these tips and you'd be surprised where you'd be in a year or two after relocating or migrating. And I'll see you in my next video. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and also like and comment. Bye.